All right, everyone. Thank you so much for showing up at class today. I invited a guest speaker on to join us virtually for this class, and his name is Ron FUTRELL, and I'm going to have him introduce himself. Hey, Ron, thank you so much for joining us here.
Petrania, what a pleasure it is to see you. Yeah, I've done sports here in Vegas for 35 years. I covered UNLV when they won the national championship. And I do like that I taught the first sports broadcasting class at UNLV, so that's sort of a special distinction that I did that. So I understand your students and where they're at, what they're trying to do, and good luck to everybody because it's a fun business. It's a changing business. But now I'm doing sports at Channel 8, doing digital sports, sort of doing MMJ stuff, multimedia journalist stuff as well. I have my own camera gear, so I go out and shoot stuff and basically go out and put stuff together. So thank you, Petrania, for having me on today because I love talking to the students.
You know, I just wanted you to kind of give them some tips on storytelling. This is what the class is about. It's about going out there and they put together packages. So tell me kind of your understanding of that and how you apply that to your job every day.
The motto is this: I wish only that my life could be simple and straight. And I've always put that to a TV news story. Be simple and straight because you have a very short window to put together something that people are going to understand. Now, back in the old days of TV news, you had one pass because people weren't recording the broadcast. Now you can DVR it and you go back if you miss something and look at it again. I realize how that's changed, but you still have to write as if people are just going to get one pass because a large majority of your viewers are not going to rewind. And they're going to get one pass, and they've got to understand it. They've got to know it right then, right there. So that was something that people could understand in one pass. You don't want a whole lot of long words and numbers and dates and times. Try to reduce everything down to the most simple. So you remember coming across a story that talked about somebody that had contusions and abrasions in an injury, in a car accident. Contusions and abrasions. And I said, wait a second, that's cuts and bruises.
Right.
Okay? That's cuts. So that's a very simple thing to say, but I will still, every once in a while, I'll hear news anchors say contusions or abrasions or things like that, or similar words, but just say cuts and bruises. What students try to do, because you're in college, bless you, you're doing what you're supposed to do, getting the degree and everything, and you want to be formal and proper and everything. And yes, you need to write properly, you need to speak properly, all of those things. But at the same time, you could tone it down a little bit and be simple and straight with the way you do it. And that helps you communicate with the viewer, which is ultimately what you are supposed to do. You're not there to impress people, anybody else, or a boss or a manager. You're there to communicate with the viewers. And the way you do that is being simple and straight.
And I think one of the issues I've seen with my students is that they try to cram so much information into one story, or they don't have a focus, or they're not talking about a million different things. And I always say, hey, find a focus on that and tell your story from that perspective, or else they're going to end up telling just this long story, rambling on about different things. So what's kind of your tip on that, to kind of find that focus and tell that story in the most compelling way?
Find out what the story is. And that may sound like a little bit crazy, but you can be all over the place if you don't know what the focus of your story is, and go there. First and foremost, make sure you communicate that message. Go to a golf tournament and cover a golf tournament and do 1,000 different stories out there. I can try to be everything to everybody and do all the stories about 6 different golfers, 8 different golfers. But if I take and choose one golfer, one place, one time, follow Tiger Woods back around and focus on his story, on his day, and be able to shift gears with your story when you need to, because it can and does change. Again, most of the time you're going to know the direction, but sometimes it will change, and be prepared to do so and tell that story and focus on a story.
One of the key words that me and also their former instructor, John Castanino, who used to work at Fox 5, who's great. And our key thing that is telling the students, be flexible. Flexibility is the name of the game here, not just in your storytelling, but also be flexible in ways you could tell your story. You know, sometimes you just have to whip up your cell phone instead of a camera and get a video because you don't have a camera there and you have to tell the story, right?
Yeah, I remember going to a Knights practice one time, and I was going to do a story focusing on a particular player. And I go there to practice, and there's some fans holding up an Irish tricolor flag. The green, white, orange flag, the Irish tricolor. They got the flag held up. And so it was I go, okay, you don't see this at practice all the time. And I go over there and talk to them, and they're and they had some stuff written on the flag, and it said VGK, hashtag VGK worldwide. And so I found out, the Vegas Golden Knights have this worldwide program for people. And they were here from Dublin, Ireland, watching the Knights. And so I said, okay, whoa, there's my story.
Right.
I can still do the player story, maybe save that for another day. But I interviewed these two people from the south side of Dublin and talked to them about their experiences coming over here. And it was I thought at least a fascinating story. I think the viewers liked it. And it was not the story I planned on doing, but I shifted gears. Yeah. And you've got to love those moments when they happen. I enjoy those moments.
Some of the interviewing tips, getting people to answer questions in the most interesting way, you know, and getting them to open up and talk to you. What are some of the tips that you've learned along the way?
One of them would be do your homework right off the bat. Do your homework. For example, and I'll use a sports example. If I'm going to go do an interview with Tom Brady on the NFL draft, because Brady's in the news right now, the draft is in the news, I'm going to talk to him about the draft. I'm not going to go to Tom Brady and say, hey, Tom, tell me about your draft. What was it like? Okay? Right. No. He's going to go, this guy doesn't know anything, and he's going to give you bad answers, okay? But if you do a little homework and you find out that Tom Brady was drafted 199th in the 6th round, that 6 other quarterbacks were taken before him, you should know those things and know that he's got a production company now called 199. His draft story is a phenomenal story because of when he was taken. Now he's the GOAT. He's probably the greatest quarterback of all time in the NFL. The second thing, okay, so the first thing is do your homework. Second thing, ask a darn question, will you? Ask a question. It's frustrating. I do it sometimes, and I'm mad at myself when I do. When I'll just make a statement to somebody, and I'll say, yeah, that was a pretty good game you had last night, and put the mic in their face. And I have not asked the question.
Right.
I've not asked the question. You know, but be specific with a question instead of just making a statement. And listen to that answer, because you'll get perhaps a better question to ask them if you're listening, and they say something crazy to you. You may want to respond to that a little bit.
You know, a lot of my students, I think most of them actually are seniors now, and they're going into the real world. And so I think it's really important in a class like this to give them kind of the real life tips of getting out there and what they need to know to succeed and to get their first job. And I think you'll be a good person to kind of give them some advice on this for them.
Here's what I did. I'm in Yakima, Washington, trying to get a job out of Yakima. Okay, so we've all done the small market stuff somewhere. Where was your small market? Petrania, where did you?
Redding, California.
Redding, California. Okay. Everybody's good. Unless your parents own a TV station, which I'm going to guess that's probably not too many of your students there. Unless your parents own a TV station, you go straight to the top. You're going to have to go to a small market somewhere and learn how to do it. My priority one was, number one, do a good job for the viewers. Because if you do that, you can't go too far wrong. And that's a mindset that stays with you. And realize that's who you're serving, okay? And you're going to make mistakes. You're going to screw up. That's what those small markets are for. And it's to weed out the people that can do it and the people that can't. I would once a week, I would pick a particular market. But focus on a market that you want to go to and spend a week. Take that week. Get to know who the news directors are, get to know what they're, as much as you can about them. Get to know the station a little bit. Get to know what affiliate it is, who the owners of the station are, what ownership group. Get to know if it's sports teams or whether it's news stories. Attack a market 1 week at a time was what I did, and it worked. Next week, do another market and keep notes. Keep notes. Right? I had to work. It's work looking for a job. Okay, it's work looking for a job in this business, but it's worth it when you get one.
And I think the core thing is having your tape and resume reel ready, right? I mean, that's your resume.
Yes.
That's what will get you through the door, even if it's not perfect. I mean, they're not expecting perfection. They just want to see you on camera, on your tape.
But you have to have that on tape, because that's how people are going to judge you. They're going to look at a tape. They're going to look at the first 12 seconds, and I might be long on that. It might be 10 seconds, okay? And they're going to make a decision, and it's going to go in one pile or the other, the keep or the throw out. Make sure you have good stuff of you at the very top so they can see who you are, what you look like. Absolutely, you got to show some hard news. You got to show some live news reporting. And now you can do that with you can do that with these things, okay? You can do a lot of the stuff nowadays that I wasn't able to do back in the day looking for a job in a market. So you have that. Take advantage of the tools that you have nowadays and that you have with UNLV, and a great instructor to be able to show you what to do and how to put reels together so that you can get a job.
I really try to urge all my students to go intern, at least one internship before they graduate.
Well, and the internship serves two main purposes. Is, yes, you're learning stuff about the business, but you're going to learn stuff about yourself. You're going to learn whether this business is for you or not. Okay, you have to know if you're the type of person that can handle, your deadline is 5 o'clock and you have to be on set, Petrania as an anchor. If you said, wait a second, I'm not ready, and it's 5 minutes to 5.
Yeah.
Can we push that back to 5:15? I'll be ready by 5:15. I'm not feeling well. Okay, if you said that, you'd get to do it one time, and you might be fired after that, but you wouldn't get a second chance at doing that. Okay, you couldn't do that twice. Find something else. There's plenty of other jobs out there to do, because you're not going to be able to handle being in a newsroom when somebody's barking at you, and they do bark in newsrooms, okay, and says, where is that story? It's supposed to be done. We're on air in 3 minutes, and we don't have your story. And you sit there and have a breakdown in an edit bay. I love the internships for that reason, because you can see yourself in a newsroom setting and see if it's for you and if you're for it.
Thank you so much for all the great advice and, giving them like kind of the real talk, because I think they need that going into the business.
Right? No, I love the business. It's a fun business. Realize it's a business of change right now. Old timers like me could sit there and lament and go, oh, back in the day, the business was blah, blah, blah. Okay, go ahead, do that. Be willing to change and adjust, because you're going to have to as this business goes forward. But no, it's been a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, and good luck, students. Go get them.